Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We just talked a little bit about walk-ons and the end of walk-ons and how it's definitely not something that we wanted by any means, but the great stories are still out there. We just might have to look just a little bit harder. But let's jump into the Big 12 breakdown. We'll break down a quick couple of thoughts about every single team, and then we'll get into my predictions in the third segment. We've definitely been getting some very interesting comments around my predictions over the last couple of days, so I'm sure this day will be the exact same. But let's break down all the teams, and let's start with Arizona State. Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils are making their debut in the Big 12 this upcoming year, and it's a very interesting team and program overall because there's a lot there. There's a big untapped thing at Arizona State that if they can get to it, if they can find a way to get NIL rolling and get recruiting rolling and get all of these different things pushing in the same direction, this is a dangerous program. And I think Kenny Dillingham is a great guy to have there to do that, and 2024 is going to be a battle. I feel pretty good about that. I think the quarterback play, whether it's Sam Levitt or Jeff Sims, is going to be just a little bit below average. So they're definitely going to be facing a little bit of an uphill battle this year, but I think it's a program that can build into something special. Arizona is a team that absolutely stole the spotlight a year ago in the Pac-12 with Noah Fafita and Tatori McMillan, and frankly, when you have those two guys on your team, you have a shot. So in 2024, they absolutely have a shot in this conference. Obviously, losing Jed Fish is absolutely huge. It'll be interesting to see the effect that has on the offense. Dwayne Aquina is taking over at defensive coordinator for Johnny Nansen, who found his way over to Texas. So I think that's actually a really good fit. I think Dwayne Aquina is going to do a fantastic job over there and kept a lot of people in-house like Decario Davis that they very much needed to keep in-house. So I think Arizona is a very dangerous team in this conference and could be one that we look up in November, and they're very much in the playoff picture. BYU is a funny team because, frankly, I don't necessarily expect a ton from this team this upcoming year, but everyone knows that when you walk into that stadium, you're going to have a problem on your hands. They are going to play you tougher than you expect them to play you, and it's going to be a really, really tough game. So there are a couple of times when this year there will be a better team that walks their way up to Provo, Utah, and gets a loss on the board because BYU is going to find a way. They do have Jake Retzlaff or Jerry Bohannon battling for that quarterback spot. I do think Bohannon is someone that will likely win it because he's played a ton of Big 12 football, has had some success at Baylor, so I'd lean towards Jerry Bohannon, but we'll see what happens there. Baylor is a really, really fun team because when you look at Daquan Finn, he is someone that can totally change a season. He can totally change the complexion of games, of weeks, of entire seasons, and he's someone that is downright special with the football in his hands. So when you look at this team, there's not necessarily anything that jumps off the page. Dave Aranda is very confident in this team and has made a point to call out some of the different media polls and things that have come out, but overall, I think this is a team that is ready to make some noise. I don't necessarily think they're going to make a remarkable run, but at the end of the day, they are on a really good recruiting run, and if you can prove that you're moving in the right direction, that a lot of things are, going the way that you want them to, you're going to be able to keep those guys intact, and that's the name of the game. There's no two ways about that. Cincinnati is a really fun team. Scott Satterfield making his second year in Cincinnati. Definitely a tough break for them. Dante Corleone is out for at least the beginning of the season, likely throughout a lot of the season with some blood clots. Hopefully he gets healthy and can get back on the football field as quickly as possible because that's one of the best defensive tackles in the entire country. They brought in Brendan Sorsby from Indiana to be their starting quarterback. A talented kid, not necessarily going to light the world on fire, but definitely someone that can make some plays. And then Xavier Henderson coming over from Florida is someone that I think could really make some noise in this offense. Very, very fun player. But Colorado is the team that is going to dominate headlines regardless. It does not matter what their record is. It doesn't matter what the result of the last game was. We're going to be talking about Colorado a ton this fall, and frankly, they have the most talented quarterback in the conference right there in Shedeur Sanders. There is no question in my mind that this guy operating at max capacity is beyond what anyone else in this conference can do at the quarterback position. They might have the best player in the conference in Travis Hunter as well, and the big question is that depth and the line of scrimmages. So if you can make those work, if you can block for this guy as well as some of the other teams in this conference, you're going to have a real shot to make some noise. I can promise you that. But Houston is a really, really fun team. Donovan Smith is someone that NFL scouts have just fallen in love with, and now he has Willie Fritz to call plays for him. So this could be a really fun season for Houston. I don't necessarily think they're going to make, crazy amounts of noise, but at the end of the day, you don't really need a ton. You are in a great spot if you're Houston in terms of talent acquisition, because you can pretty much go around any street corner and find a 5-star athlete. It's insane the amount of talent in Houston, but I think when you look at this team, it could be 6, 7, even 5 wins, I think, could show that this team is moving in the right direction and that Willie Fritz is kind of opening things up. And then the sky's the limit when you're recruiting out of Houston. I can promise you that. Iowa State is a really fun team. Matt Campbell is ready to repeat what happened in 2021 with Brock Purdy and that really special group and change the result in Arlington, that's for sure. But Rocco Becht is going to be the starter for this team, a huge player that, frankly, I think is going to have a really good year, a very confident, very gritty type player. Absolutely love him. The wide receivers are the separators here. They're the guys that can totally change this season. Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins are a remarkable duo and going to be a problem for pretty much any defense that they face. And then you have Abu Sama running the ball. They're going to have a ton of fun on the offensive side of the ball, or the Cyclones. But let's get into the state of Kansas, where a ton of really good football is going to be played this year. And we'll start with the Kansas Jayhawks and Jalen Daniels. And we've talked about this 10 times at this point, but Jalen Daniels' health is the thing for this team. There are a million different things that go into winning in a season, but keeping that guy on the field is going to be the number one thing by a mile, because it's been really hard to the last couple of years, and he's someone that when he's on the field, he does really special things about every single day. So I think they're going to want him on the field. Andy Kotelnicki is out, Jeff Grimes is in, but the talent level and the ability is really awesome, so it'll be awesome to watch this team, this offense kind of go to work and see if they can make some noise this year in this conference. Kansas State is one of the betting favorites heading into this year, and Avery Johnson is one of the big-time reasons. He chased out Will Howard to Ohio State, and it was not a mistake. It was not something that they regret at this very moment, because Avery Johnson is special. There's no two ways about that, and I think this run game is going to be really special. Between Avery Johnson, DJ Giddens, and Dylan Edwards, I think they're going to make defenses just really mad. I'm going to be totally honest with you, because when that mesh point comes, the defensive end is going to have no earthly idea where the ball is going, and it's going to be remarkably tough to stop. Then you have an Oklahoma State team that is led by Ollie Gordon. This is the team that has the most experience, has the most comfort behind them, next to Iowa State as well. But Oklahoma State is going to be a really awesome team this year. I think Ollie Gordon is obviously a beast, but Alan Bowman's play is going to be the difference maker. I think there's so many teams that are packed right against each other that there's going to be some of those plays that are bounce of ball plays that are, picks that shouldn't be picks, or fumbles that bounce the wrong way and go to the opposite team that are going to decide these games. And Alan Bowman has been a little bit prone to throwing picks and that type of thing, so it could be a problem for them this upcoming year, but a fantastic team nonetheless. TCU is a really interesting team. They had a really magical 2022, not so magical 2023 with a lot of guys walking out the door. Josh Hoover is back and ready to, play a little bit more consistent, more complete football, and I think they have a number of dudes that are going to be really good. They did a great job of upgrading that offensive line. Cam Cook is someone at running back that I absolutely love, and I think is going to be an incredible player this year for them. So there are a number of things on this team that they can definitely make some noise, especially with someone like Sonny Dykes calling plays. They're going to have plenty of offensive production, and there's definitely a chance for TCU to sneak in the back door and make some really incredible plays this year. Texas Tech is another team that I think is going to be really, really fun to watch, particularly because of this wide receiver group. You look at Josh Kelly coming over from Wazoo, Caleb Douglas coming over from Florida, and then a 5-star freshman in Micah Hudson. They're going to have plenty of weapons to go to, and I think Barron Morton is going to be able to take enough of a step forward to get the ball there and get it on time, and once you do that, all these guys are going to be able to make plenty of plays. And then on the other side of the ball, you're going to have a more consistent defense this year if you really want to compete with the teams in front of you. So that's going to be the big thing for Texas Tech. I don't necessarily worry too much about the offense scoring. I do worry about the defense being able to hold some teams. UCF is a team that developed entirely throughout the portal. Now, that guy in the picture, RJ Harvey, is an absolute beast and someone that will be a leader of this team, but they brought in KJ Jefferson, Penny Boo, Nigel Kelly on the defensive side is going to be huge, along with Javarius Johnson and a million other guys that have been added into this roster. So this is going to be a very interesting kind of experiment for UCF. I think they do need something of a pop here, nothing crazy by any means, but prove to a lot of recruits around the Orlando area that you're ready to roll, that you can kind of move forward, and then it's going to be maybe really hard to stop you. But I think Nigel Kelly, the defensive player that they brought in on the edge, is likely going to be the most important player for them this year, just because the defense is comfortably the most important part of this team. Utah is a team that is coming in as the on-odds favorite to win this conference and can't find a real reason to argue with them. You have Cam Rising back at quarterback. You have Dorian Singer at wide receiver. Just so many dudes out there. Money Parks is a great player. I think they're going to have plenty of production on the offensive side of the ball as long as Cam Rising is upright. As long as he is on the field and playing football, they're going to definitely be more than fine on the offensive side of the ball. And then Kyle Whittingham and Morgan Scalley's defense will be more than fine. I can almost promise you that. You have Teo Johnson, you have Logan Fanu. I think they have plenty of guys that they're going to play really, really steady football on that side of the ball. And then West Virginia, a really, really fun team that is led by Garrett Green. And I've talked about this kid a number of times, but he's really fun to watch because every time he steps on the football field, there's nowhere else that he'd rather be. He really, really fights every single second of every game, and I think he's an awesome player. Now they have a really, really tough road. We talked about it yesterday. It is a nightmare of a schedule, so I think they're good enough to beat any team in this conference. Are they able to do it for 9 straight weeks will be kind of the decision maker. And then Jaheim White is a huge player for them, the running back that I think is going to be a fantastic player this upcoming year and maybe just maybe open some doors that they haven't had opened in the past. So overall, you look at this conference and you don't see a big drop-off. Now, there are a couple of teams at the bottom there that I don't necessarily think have a great shot to win this thing, but overall, you look at all of the different teams in this conference, you look at all of the different things going into this conference, and I can find about 10 teams I could easily make, maybe even 11 teams, that I can make the argument to make it to Arlington at the very least. So this is going to be a hard conference to nail down, but I'll do my best to do it right after this. We're going to break down all of my picks for the Big 12 right after this, so stick with us.